Well, we've had OTIS for a couple of years now, and as we keep using them, we keep making modifications. We learn things, we change things, we try to make them better as we just learn how to do better and better. So we just want to share some of those things with you. Uh, First thing is we got rid of that Dometic stove finally. That was just causing us all kinds of problems. So I'll go over that a little bit more in a minute. But we ended up having to add a second regulator because we found a lot of things about propane research in that these propane regulators that are meant for RVs take in at the tank a really high pressure. So we're talking between 100 and 250 psi, depending on the level in that tank. Obviously, you can't deliver that straight to an appliance. So these normal regulators for RVs are two-stage regulators that go down to about what is 11 inches of water column, where a camp stove or something like that you have little green tanks with typically have a 12 to 15 psi. 11 inches of water column is not equal to 11 inches of pressure. 11 inches of water column is actually 0.4 psi, really, really low. So we retained this one that goes to the water heater because that water heater is designed for 11 inches of water column. But we added a second one for the replacement camp stove that we put in. So that gets teed in there. This regulator is adjustable between 0 and 20 psi. So adjusted that for about 14. So for the length of the hose, it decreases to about 12 by the time it gets there. We've also added a couple little things over here, and I'll talk about this a little bit more. We did add a second battery in here. We didn't really need it, but that does just give us a little extra capacity if we are for an extended period of time in overcast or camping in a forest with a high tree canopy or something like that where it's just shading the panels. One thing we did research this off season was going to an induction stove, because the induction stoves are kind of all the rage in the camping community. You can get one for about $100 for a 2-burner stove. But when we started researching things, 2 batteries is barely enough. Probably would have needed a third or a fourth battery at $250 to $300 per battery. Bigger solar panel, which would have meant bigger solar controller, also an inverter. And as I mentioned before, if you listen to these videos, we don't have an inverter at all. Everything is 12 volt. So if we were to get an inverter to run that induction stove, we actually bought an induction stove for one day, connected our kilowatt to it, and it used 1800 watts when it was pulling. So the inverter to run that is going to run about $1,200 to $1,300. Bigger solar panel, bigger batteries, bigger controller. Talking about a $2,500 endeavor that we just did not want to embark on. So we're staying with propane for the time being. If you were setting out and you needed other 120 volt appliances, that might be one thing, but it really didn't make sense for us. We also added some of these marine tie down points here. So when we have the tarp over the top, we can easily secure a tarp on the top here and there. Also added this little level link here that has a 2 batteries in it that last over a year, that connects to the phone, so you can tell really, really precisely what the level of the trailer is, which corner needs to come up, how it needs to be adjusted. Looking forward to using that. Going to make leveling OTIS out a lot easier down the road. Big improvement we made is right here in the kitchen. So we had a lot of wasted space in here, so we decided to completely redo the kitchen. We've added these drawers with slam latches in them. We've added this stove on top that I'll show you, but we also added slide outs that have a latching mechanism. So they actually lock in place when it's in, lock at 50% out, and lock at 100% of the way out. We added a cutting board to the top. Thank you for those of you who suggested that. It's cutting surface. Looking forward to using that. Going to work great. We just hard plumbed this Coleman camp stove in. My wife made these lovely aluminum shields because the shields that come with this stove are kind of weird. They just don't work very well. So those heat shields not only will block a lot more air, wind, but also when it comes down, she radiused the corners so they fit really nicely right in the top with the design of the stove. So we redid this whole slide. We added slides that come out further than the old ones. These are actually 40-inch extension slides, so they'll come out so we can open our fridge all the way. We added a new fridge pan and added bolts through the bottom so the fridge will just bolt down instead of needing the straps. Reran the electrical cord and the gas lines and everything all tucked in, so it's just tidied everything up basically. So the first 2 years that we've used OTIS, we've carried an aluminum step stool around with us, put the step stool inside, pulled it out anytime we needed to get in here. We just decided it was time to build a permanent step. But obviously this is really in the way, but it splits the difference between the ground and the threshold of OTIS. So I designed and built this step with just a couple of pins that pop out here really quick. And the step swings up in here. Pins go back in. I can get them lined up. Usually Christina's the one who does the step. Stop laughing at me. Yeah, it's real easy, see? Pins go in there to hold it up out of the way. There we go. Up nice. High clearance is actually up higher than our black tank. It's not completely out of the way, but up out of 95% of the way of stuff. Deploys really easily when we want to use the step when we get to a campground or out in the middle of anywhere. We just want to be able to get in easier. And it's not taking up any of our space inside. There. Apparently it comes out easier than it folds up in. There we go. So as we continue our organization, we're just trying to do stuff better as well. So you can see we put some aluminum dividers in here to kind of keep things separate, keep our fire extinguisher really easy to get to, because that's super important. If there ever were a fire, you want to be able to get to that really quickly. Before, it would get things piled on top of it, really kind of dangerous. So that has its own compartment now, and we're able to carry some things. We actually had these little guys printed recently. We've got a whole bunch of these. So if you see us anywhere on the road, please stop us. We'll give you one of these postcards, or we'll send it to you, or whatever. And you can use it for a discount at our freehousestudio.com. Give you all kinds of good information. So please track us down. There is a bee in here. So we showed you our new kitchen. This is our new pantry. So we used one of the depths here. The top bunk remains full length. As you can see here, there's still plenty of room on the top bunk for a full-size human and some books and a coffee cup. This bunk is a little abbreviated, but it's still 4.5, 5 feet. So a good-sized child could still fit in here. But it also gives us a spot to store a lot of stuff. And of all the things we've made, this is one of the things I'm most excited about, maybe second most excited, I don't know. I hate stuff laying around, as you probably noticed. We try to keep things nice and tidy. So our phones and keys just always end up random places. Here we've got a place where we can put all of our phones and keys in here. And my new armoire for all my clothes. So I'm very excited about my clothes finally having a place to live. Christina's clothes have had a place up there, and I've kind of lived out of some buckets. So I'm very excited about having my clothes right here, right when I come out of the shower. I can get easy access to my clothes. And on the back side of this unit, as you could see, maybe that blank spot on the front, it's actually open on the back. And down inside here is a little USB charging port. So we can put phones, laptops, iPads, whatever in here, run a short cord to them, let them charge, but keep them out of the way. So very excited about the level of tidiness that this cabinet is going to bring to OTIS.
To make things, yes we really do. Let's make some stuff together you can join into. Plumbing, screwing, fabrication, here and now across the nation. Oh, and you can make some cool things too.